Welcome to another episode of Solo Spotlight. I'm your host, Ryan McDougall, and today I'm sitting down with someone who's completely transformed his life from the inside out. Jeremy McPherson has worked in some of the most high-pressure environments you can imagine, from nightclub and casino security to a career in law enforcement. But what really stands out about Jeremy isn't just his resume, it's his resilience. After facing severe PTSD, losing 125 pounds, and making the life-changing decision to become alcohol-free, Jeremy has rebuilt not only his body, but his mindset through MMA, discipline, and brutal honesty with himself. He turns his pain into purpose. And today, we get to hear the full story. Let's get into it.
The truth, well, I got a spare room for you.
All right, welcome.
Thank
How
you.
we doing?
Fantastic.
We've worked together for a while, but barely said anything to each other.
Yeah, the only time I would be like when I would see you like crossing in the hallway or something like that. So.
Yeah. Or like at a party or something. I was trying before you came, I was like, I have to look back and see if there was any memories that like I was like, did I talk to this guy like drunk at a party or like did I, and then I'm gonna forget and you're gonna be like, no man, you told me like your whole life story one time. And then I'm gonna be like, oh, that's awkward. But no, I reached out to you through Sharif. I was talking to him about it because I just saw you were kind of like, you know how some people they just go on like a burner and you're just like, yo, like everything they're doing is hitting. They look like they're really like enjoying shit. And like they look like they're having a blast, and like you could see the progression, even as like a bystander of someone like not even knowing you personally, like knowing of you per se. Like it was very like inspirational to see that like throughout time and kind of see what you were doing with posting. And obviously you're taking a break from social media now, but it was really cool and it was really like wholesome to see. So
Thank you.
Good for you, man. Like I really like applaud that because I think something that really gets neglected is like people's like mental well-being. And I think that's something that gets forgotten about a lot. So, and again, like bringing you on, like talking about like your journey through mental health, like your journey through sobriety, like, you're getting into MMA, lose like all of this stuff, right? Like it's just kind of one of those things that funnels in, and it's like it's really, really cool to see, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about. And I think that's an interesting story that kind of we can share with an audience. And yeah, so let's get right into it. Country boy, right?
Yeah, small town Alberta boy.
Right.
I was born and raised here. I was born in Edmonton, and then my parents moved out to a small town called Kalmar, and it's about, I'd say maybe about a 45-minute drive southwest Edmonton.
Not bad.
It's pretty good. They got a really good bakery there, which is really good.
Yeah. When I came here, one of the big things was the sweets, the Dutches. Oh, so good. Yeah. So then you said, what age did you move? You said 6 years old or 6 years ago?
No, it was 2006.
2006. I remember.
So I would have been like, oh man, what, 15, somewhere around there maybe.
Okay. So you kind of seen like the development of like the Henday.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Well, with the Henday, when they were first building it, I was living on the west side, and it was actually faster for me to go out because I was working in Nisku at the time in a heavy duty mechanic shop. And it was faster to go out by Devon through Highway 60 and come all the way around to the airport and back just to get into Nisku than it was to come into Edmonton and take the Henday to go all the way to the west side.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm kind of like shameful because I never was here when traffic was like really, really bad and like they didn't have a Henday. So everybody's like, you never understand. You'll never understand. It's like, you're right.
It's still pretty bad even with the hen day too.
Yeah,
Like you look at the roads today and yesterday, like the Quesnel was shut down for a huge car pile up there, which looked absolutely ridiculous.
The White Mud was shut down yesterday. Like, it was crazy. Okay, so you get into Edmonton, 15. So you're just finishing up what, high school?
I was so it's a little bit different because like in that small town, they just had the one school at the time. So it was just K to 12 all in one.
Right.
And again, with being a small town, like they had offered some sports programs and whatnot, but it was nowhere near what was available within the area. So I ended up transferring from that small town and I went to high school in Leduc. And my mom was living in Edmonton because my parents had split and my dad was living on an acreage just outside the small town. So I would spend my time back and forth.
Okay. All right. And so then finishing up, what were kind of your aspirations finishing up school? Like, what were your interests at that point? Like, what were you trying to get into?
Coming out of high school, like my dad was a very, he was strict, but he also worked in the oil patch as a heavy duty mechanic. So he really pushed me towards that. So that's why I took welding in school, which is what I was really good at. And that's what I first started out with in the workforce. And then moving from there, I got into a little bit of mechanics and going with him on the road, going out to rig sites, changing out these, what were they called back then? It was like these pump modules on the rig site. So you could go in there and work on it. It was like gritty, hard work, man.
Yeah.
Like being out in minus 40, trying twisting wrenches and whatnot. Like that's also how I almost lost my finger. Like, it's just dirty work. And it wasn't really for me. And then that's when I transitioned out from working in the oil field and I started working security.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also did my hand in construction. I worked as like a laborer and they did like, I worked for a drywaller. So I like stuffed insulation and like swept floors and shit.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, yo, fuck this. Like, I'm not doing this all the time. But yeah, my path was like, I want to be a cop. And then I didn't make it to be a cop. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm kind of going to settle somewhere in the middle. And now I really love it. Yeah. So it kind of lucked out. But I must have subconsciously, I must have saw the security on the work site. And just that must have stuck with me. It must have just stuck with me where I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. So you get into security. What's your first security gig?
I started working club security, like nightclub bouncing is what I started off doing. And I was 19 at the time when I first started doing that downtown Edmonton. And like back in the day, it was the Wild West. Right. It's a lot different than what it is now. And there was like, you were fighting like every other night or there'd be crazy stories, man. Like it's just, Edmonton's a different beast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't even seen, I barely go out, so I don't see the half of it. But from what I hear in the stories that people tell me is just crazy. So getting into that, was there like, what do you think it helped you with like your perspective of human nature and like learning people? Do you think that was like a huge factor?
Oh, 100% it was. Because when you're working in like a busy nightclub where you have 900 to 1,000 people in there, you're watching the room, you're watching the crowd, you're seeing everything. And, you know, being younger, you're just like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Right. And of course I was a hothead right back then. So I was just itching to get at it. Right.
And was it your, like, was this your first experience with like conflict? Like, would you say? Like, so in terms of, so I'll bring it back to like kind of where I'm visualizing this. Like, I grew up with some people and like I known them my whole life. Some people legit like they couldn't stay out of trouble, or like they were, some of these people were like they just get in scraps with people and like they always had this like conflict. They're getting kicked out of class or like whatever it is, right? And then there's just some people, it happens a little, like some off of like scuffles that usually don't get physical, and then you get into one of these jobs and you see like you see like just a dude get knocked out flat and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Right. So like, was there like a slow buildup, or kind of did you have like this type of like roughness gene growing up where you kind of get in scraps, or did you just like, how did that look for you?
It did happen. Like, again, growing up small town with a bunch of farm kids, like, that's pretty much all it was all the time. We were hanging out and just fighting for fun. Like,
right.
It's just kind of ingrained in it.
Yeah. I always find it interesting because some people, they experience like that type of conflict in a good way. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's like, it's a very negative, like toxic way, or like, you know what I mean? Where it, like they see that type of conflict, but it's actually in like legit, like risky situations, and it like scares you. Right. Yeah. Where sometimes, say boxing, where it's like, it's conflict because you're punching each other in the face, but it's regulated. It makes sense. Like nobody's going to let you die. But if you're seeing like someone get stabbed to death, it's like, well, that's a different type of way you're registering it. Right. Yeah. So like some people, and again, coming into like a law enforcement field or security field, it's like some people come from it this way where it's like, no, that's okay. And then some people run in right away, rear naked choke the dude out, snap his neck. And he's like, what? This is like, cause I've only seen the dudes getting their friggin' heads cut off. Yeah. Right. So it's interesting. I think like probably through your experience, you've seen that type of stuff where you're able to like, there starts to become a bigger threshold of like what you can see and like what you can handle, and kind of you start to understand certain things, if that makes sense, right?
You understand it. It also numbs you a lot. Yeah. To what, regular or normal people aren't really used to, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just like, you cover a lot of that with a lot of dark humor. Yeah. But then people will still look at you like, hey, are you okay? Like,
and because later we're going to talk about like the mental health aspect, but like, did you already start to see this type of like, I don't know, like mental, not deterioration, but kind of like, I wish I said it when I interviewed Sheridan, because I wanted to ask him like, is there a set threshold of like something someone can see? Or is it like, oh, the first time that happens, a dude could explode, and the 100th time this happens, a dude could explode. So like, did you start to see that like those effects started to wear on you, or was like there like a longer period of time that you were kind of able to endure that?
It was a longer period of time because, again, being 19, I turned 34 this year. So you're like right at the peak of being, classified as being a man, if you want to call it that, but you're legal, right? And coming into that, it starts off like, looking back on it now, the signs were there. Like I can look back on it after doing therapy and doing all of the stuff. It's just like, yeah, I needed help back then with some of it. But there was probably it wasn't until I started with our job, and then it started progressively getting more and more. And then the drinking, poor coping mechanisms, like it just steamrolled from there. And like, you saw what I looked like back then. Like I was not a pillar of fitness by any means. Like,
right. And that's where you see, like, you don't see a lot of people like have that like rebound, where like a lot of people, they just bottom out and they just flutter away into the wind. And then you just become hey, does everybody remember that guy? Mm-hmm. Right. And it's a weird way, because like it almost gives you a certain type of acceptance where you're like, oh, I can go downhill. It's totally acceptable. Everybody does it. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, a lot of people are like this. And like a lot of people, they just like, people talk about and this and that. And I just become like one of these mythological characters that just existed in this world we live in. Right. But with that, like, when you're going through this, like, how did you balance out like holding that, like not wanting the conflict, but also wanting more experience, knowing that with more experience comes more stress? Like being like, I always want to level up, but I'm accepting more BS, but that's what I want. But now I'm going to get, you know what I mean? And now it's like one of these things where it's like, but I do want that, but I don't want what comes with it. right? So like, how is that balance?
It's all about how you set yourself up for success with it. Like for myself going through that, it took a lot of therapy for one. And I had to learn how to be normal again, if that makes sense, because with the poor coping mechanisms that I had, it wasn't setting me up for success. So to balance it, I had to cut back from all of that. So I quit drinking, stopped associating with, certain people, and just cut out a lot of things where it was just like, I can't do this. And it's scary when you're changing that much and going through it, because it's at the end of the day, it's terrifying because I'm going from how I thought I was to with this, and then learning that it's like, no, this isn't good. You're being terrible. You have to change that, and just moving on.
And now going through that, like, explain to me like your changes in like self-esteem and how you've been able to like kind of monitor that.
Well, back then because again, at my heaviest, I was 310 pounds. Right. And that was coming off of, PTSD leave, drinking, and all of this, and not working out, not doing anything, and just living in that just vile filth that's just all up in here. Right.
Right.
And sorry, where were we going with that again?
No, just like how over time, how has like your self-esteem, like where do you see yourself now compared to like where you saw yourself there? And like, do you ever worry that there's going to be like, I almost answer my question with this, but do you ever worry where like you don't want to like overdo it, or like you want to show your achievements and milestones and whatnot, but you also don't want it to come off as like not valid, or like you're seeking some sort of like an external validation where that's probably not the case at all?
Some of it definitely was coming in, because again, it was really weird, because when I first started noticing the weight change and just being fit and having everyone come up to me and being like, holy crap, you're tiny, you're this, you're that, it's like very overwhelming. And it's just like, man, it doesn't feel like I'm doing this. It doesn't, like, it just feels off when you're getting that much positive feedback. And it's just, I don't want to say off-putting, but it was just different.
Right.
Because I was so used to the other side of the negativity to it. Right.
Right. Did you see more people like did you see the type of conversation that you had with your coworkers change at all? Like, where I know with some people that we work with, a lot of their conversations that they have with coworkers are trying to like solicit advice. Like, you need to do this. Like, you really need to like, like you should probably not work as much overtime. Like, you look like shit. You know what I mean? Like, right. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where then they see that you're like having this huge positive rebound. And then instead of going from, you know what I mean, trying to like fix you, they're going from like, well, what'd you do? Where did you go? How'd you do it? Right. Cause like some people just have the reputation where it's like, there's nothing this person can tell me that would afford me any sort of knowledge. Like, and there's genuinely people that think that way. So do you think like your interaction with like coworkers or just like in that environment changed at all? Not
really. Cause at the end of the day, while I changed a lot of things, I'm still the same person. Like, I'm very personable. I like talking to people. I like getting along with people. Like, it's right. I didn't find very many changes with that.
Right. And again, like, I think you were well established where it wasn't like some people, it's just circumstantial, right? Where like, sometimes people are still doing the right thing. They just, or just people have like mutual respect with a lot of people where it's like, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, whatever it is. And then like some people who kind of let people talk to them like that, they do the whole like, let me tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah, no, I didn't really get anything like that. There was a lot of people that would give, like positive feedback on it. Be like, hey man, like, I see you're working out and you're doing this. Maybe try this. This will probably help you get with what you're looking for. And it was like, great, thanks, man. Wicked. I appreciate it. Like, I'll take any feedback, because I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not anything. I just did everything from learning what I learned through like my physio and working out at the gym, or the MMA gym and stuff like that. Like I just learned it as I go with people that I was working out with.
So when you started, like, okay, so when I say started, what does that mean to you? When I say you started working out, where did that, like, was that something you've known as like an adolescent, that you did like working out when you were in high school, junior high? Or was that something that you never done and then like into your adulthood, you learned those things?
It wasn't until my adulthood.
Yeah.
Like, again, being younger, like I grew up playing sports, playing football, rugby, like those were my two biggest things coming up, right? So, and of course, being younger, you know, you bounce back a lot quicker and all of this. But it was until I hit my adulthood, or it didn't really start to change for me until I turned 30, which was a little bit late in the tooth to get started at it when I should have been doing it when I was younger. But yeah, it worked out really well in the end.
Yeah. And okay. So, because I kind of had like when I started like physical, like working out, say like with like bench press, whatever it is, there's like traditional and then there's like CrossFit. There's like, and some people are just exposed in different ways to like, sometimes it's just throwing bales of hay and a dude's just ridiculously jacked.
Oh yeah.
Where, like,
that's that old farm kid
where like
strength,
guys
man.
can just with their pinky, they're like picking up manhole covers.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But it's like he could do it, but it's not like this guy just goes and bench presses 3 plates. It's like, no, this guy just does this. And like, or like rock climbers ridiculously jacked.
Oh yeah. The core strength that you have for that is just,
it's just crazy.
Else.
So like they don't need to necessarily go to the gym. So I find it interesting to see kind of like where that like physical fitness, and I guess throughout time, like the availability of that has grown so much where it's like, well, when you lived in, 45 minutes outside of Edmonton at 15 years old, like how much was this type of stuff available to you?
Oh, well, it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And now that it's available, I think it's like, it's great. It's getting more like people into it. Now, do you think that was the hindrance, that it was like the availability and like you would have bit into it, it just wasn't there? Or do you think it was like a mentality thing where you just had different, like, you just put your focus in different ways?
Oh, 100% it was mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like back then, being a kid, and like I said, I was a hothead back then and going through some stuff when I was younger. So I wasn't right in the head to do any of that. Mm-hmm. Well, it would have worked out well. I wasn't there. And it took me a long time to build up these things to get back into that. Right.
Right. And so when you get into working out, it's right into MMA?
No, it took a little bit at first. Like when I first started coming out, it was actually a guy from work that dragged me out and was just like, yeah, come check out jiu-jitsu. Like it's a great workout. You're going to lose weight and it's great for our job. So I was like, absolutely. Came out and absolutely fell in love with it. Like it brought me back to those high school times, playing football when you come back from a practice and you're just beat up, and it's just that great sense of accomplishment because you just had, a killer workout and you feel great and you're pumped and you're jacked and you're just getting all that negativity out of your head.
And what I find interesting too is with a lot of sports, there's like a lot of ego. And like a lot of people ego lift, a lot of dudes, like a lot of taunting when you look at like organized sports like basketball, soccer, this, that, right? But when you look at something like MMA, it's like, well, the fight's the fight, training is training, and like we're all trying like that. And I'm very novice. Like I did karate when I was a kid for probably 2 or 3 years, and then right before COVID, I went to a gym, a martial arts gym in St. Albert. And I went there for 2 lessons and then COVID happened. Boom. But like, that was the first thing. It was like zero ego. Like everybody came in and it was like legit, like the proverbial Zen.
Yeah.
Right. Do you kind of share that same thing where you're like, in terms of, do you notice on your end that there is any ego involved?
A little bit when I first started, there was probably some ego there. And then, you get humbled real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the best experience, because it was just like, okay, like I gotta focus. I gotta really put in the work for this.
Right. And how far along until you started noticing like you shedding the pounds? Like how, like, was it months, weeks? Like, and did your time actually spent there? Like, were you also like incrementally increasing your amount of like going there?
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you one story. When I first walked into the gym, and it was one in St. Albert actually as well. And I went to my first judo class, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to check this out. This is going to be good. First time being in here. And I got absolutely wrecked by a 13-year-old that was just like, yeah, boom, just throws me right on the ground. I was just like, holy crap. And then going through all of that, and again, making the mistake, I also did a double class because I was just like, oh, I can do it. And I just puked my guts up after doing the next class because I was so beat and tired.
Yeah, man. I'm not a big, like, the biggest thing that I had to get over was like, I'm not a big like physical, like I'm not a big like having people around me like wrapping their arms around me and shit. So I'm like, get off me, man. Like, I don't like it. So that was like the first thing, but yeah, it's very interesting how technical something like that is, and how like quickly you can, by doing anything, you can just open up like a little bit of like a crook in your leg or like somewhere just, and then, and then all of a sudden you're from looking here to like face down.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, okay, settle down. That's what really caught me like interested in watching like UFC and stuff. Is just like, it's so crazy how like fast things can switch, where you're just like, oh, you're losing 5 rounds, boom, head kick. You know what I mean? Like, just unreal. So did working out lead you into any other like traditional methods of working out, or has it strictly been just MMA?
No, I started out with jiu-jitsu. So doing that was what kind of opened the door to it. And even with that as well, I originally started doing no-gi jiu-jitsu, and it was great getting into it. And then I wanted to transition over to gi because it was the best thing that coincides with our line of work. When you got to do with coveralls and you're wearing a gi, it really works out well. Right. And it's yeah. So I did that, and then I progressively started adding in the weight training, and then I started focusing on my striking and just open up a few different areas with it. So it was kind of a lot going on because my schedule was always busy during the week when I'm doing this and that. But yeah, it progressively got bigger and bigger as I went on.
And in terms of like, I want to get into now, like, because I want to go into now, like, where did the need for like sobriety come on? Was this beforehand, or was this after getting into MMA?
Looking back on it, I think it was just after I started getting into jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Getting into that. Yeah. Because I was struggling with it. Because the first time I tried to quit drinking, bad incident at work, and that just kind of kicked the door down going with it. And then I was able to come back from that. And then I relapsed again after a Christmas party and winning like a bottle of booze. And it was just like, I can't be that bad. And, spiraled again. And it was the third time where I was like, yeah, I got to change. This isn't good at all. Like it was embarrassing, and it was just terrible. Like I'm again, working in a club for as long as I did, I've been around drinking and all of that. And if that's your thing to have fun, hey, all the power to you. It just doesn't work for me because I had too much bad shit in my head, and it just brought out too many bad things. And I was just like, this isn't for me anymore.
And how did that affect like your social interactions? Was that hard on you?
Starting out, it was, because it was just like, okay, I can't be around this. I can't do that. I don't want to be around people. Like it was just a lot going on. So I really needed to take that step back and just work on myself and do it. And now, like, I pick up part-time work bouncing in a bar. I'll go out with guys want to have beers. I'll sit there and drink my non-alcoholic beer and I'll be DD or something. Like I have more fun with it now because I'm there. I'm present. I'm not blacked out making an ass of myself. Right.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and it's interesting because like you found one thing and it kind of like opened the door, or at least like all of these doors were somewhat cracked, and then you stepped into one and it kind of like propelled every one of them. You know what I mean? And then it kind of like slingshotted you through the other ones, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%.
Like, because then you can just see like the dominoes start falling, where it's like, okay, now it's fitness, now it's weight loss, now it's sobriety, now it's, you know what I mean, addressing mental health, now it's right. So it's like, and now it's all compounding, where it's like, well, now instead of having just one thing to lean back on, you have this, and it's a lot. Like, you know what I mean? You're kind of building a snowball now of like it's kind of this big force. So it's really, really like it's refreshing to see, especially in like a workplace that we're like subjected to, because you don't see it. You just don't see it. And like the idea that like people just consider themselves like, yeah, it's just okay to be like mediocre or whatever it is. Like, and like, I don't mean mediocre as in like you go to bed at 10. Like, I mean mediocre as in like you trash your body. You don't think well about yourself, like stuff like that. You're not addressing concerns. You're procrastinating. And like, I fall into lulls where I do it all the time. Right. But, like I think people need to like have to have like an understanding of like, no, it's okay to like try your best, if that makes sense. Like, and if you enjoy something, like it's okay to like do that. Right. Like it's just one of those things. Like I look at now, like your shirt, it's like, well, just like symbolically, like just what you do and like what you want to identify as, you chose to wear that. Right. Apart from any other piece of article of clothing. Right. So it's just, it's very interesting because like some people, they go like full in.
Yeah.
And then some people like they get worried about like, well, what's it going to look like when I go out? And like, because initially, given the people that were around and like the mentalities that people have, it's like, it's fine. Have a drink, blah, blah, blah. Do this, where you kind of have to have a little bit of willpower and you have to have a backbone of being like, no,
absolutely.
I'm okay feeling a little bit of like shame or like feeling like a little bit of like, whatever. Right. And like, you just got to let it roll off where you're like, dude, if you were looking where I'm looking, you'd be doing the same. Right.
Yeah.
And that's always what I kind of tell people is like, yo, if you were thinking what I'm thinking, like this is the only necessary, like this is what I have to do. So like, right. Kind of off topic, but yeah, like it's good. It's fun. It's inspiring. I love seeing it. I'm really happy for you, even as someone that's just getting to know you now. But yeah, like, so now addressing the mental health, like I want to kind of go back to this, like working in nightclubs. So transitioning from nightclub security to casino security, did you find that like your level of incidences or like things going on, did it increase, decrease, stay the same?
It definitely increased going from that. Like, again, working in a bar, you're dealing with fights and drunk people and all that kind of stuff. And then when you're going to casino security, you're dealing more with like the public, and like you're still going to deal with drunk people and all of that, but it opened up a wide range of things because it's a busy casino and there was a lot going on in the property there. So not only are you dealing with that, you're dealing with the hotel, you're dealing with the property itself and like hockey and everything else that's going on there. So you were dealing with a wide range of different things, from like medical calls, assaults, sexual assaults. Like it was just it opened up a whole different door, and it really gave me that projection to come into corrections after dealing with all of that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was like the idea of like, oh, this is something I can handle? Was that like when you thought about like the idea of bouncing from like the security private sector to doing something like public, and like working in that? Was it the idea that like, oh, I kind of like seen what I can see now, and that has prepped me to do this?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what it was.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because sometimes people just go in and say, yeah, I can make a good paycheck. Like I can work a lot of overtime. Like I'm good. I don't really give a shit. I don't really care for the idea of like learning about human behavior and like understanding and having a knowledge of it and getting like it's like, tell me what you need me to do. I'll do it. I'll leave. I come back. What do you need me to do? Mm-hmm. And it's complete amnesia.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, like the idea that like you kind of prepped yourself to get into it, it's kind of rare, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. Seeing a lot of it now with some of these guys coming in with little to no experience at all. It's just like, do you really know what you're getting into here? Like this is a different world. Like,
and I think that I get like when it comes to this type of stuff, I get kind of like realist where it's like I'm more like cutthroat than I probably need to be. But when I hear people say like, yeah, it's like, it's crazy that people come in with like no experience, this and that. It's like, well, to argue that, what did they expect? It's just on a job board out of the 40 jobs they applied for. You can't go in. You can't, you may be, but you can't like, it's not like I'm just going to go visit there as a member of the public and just see what's going on. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's very hard to get like an actual understanding of what's going on. And the door's so wide open where it's like, how do you blame people? It's like, I'm leaving like a wide open dam of like, there's no restriction. Like there's nothing barely holding people back. So, and then they get here and they're like, oh shit. And it's like, yeah, we didn't really help you. You know, like we didn't really set you up for like a good go because we just kind of went like here. Yeah, go here. Okay, see you later. Here's now everything's up to you and everybody's going to hate you and you don't know anything.
I guess, I don't know. It was a little different on my aspect. And at least from my own experiences coming in with it, there were a lot of guys that I bounced with who eventually came and switched over as well and started working.
And then they like vetted you.
Well, yeah, a little bit. But learning from that, it was like, oh, okay. And then coming into it, it's like, I know what to expect because I've worked with these guys.
You know what their mentality's like. Yeah. You know what the kind of attitude is going to be. They're filling you in on, hey, this is like my experiences. This is what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it was the same kind of thing. Like when I came here from Nova Scotia, I kind of had friends that had buddies that moved from here to there, and they were like, yeah, let me get you set up between them. And it's like, how is it? How's everything? And it worked out in that way. But moving into that, like so now you're doing that, and now you get into like, is this where like the struggles like mentally start to like boil? This is like the boiling point. Yeah.
It really snapped into focus for me when I was off, or I wasn't off. Sorry. This was just getting into it, coming off with my mental health leave and just being at home and being in that setting, especially with what I was doing. I was working, constantly working 16-hour shifts, 6 days straight, partying on my days off, and then rinse, repeat. Right. So it just built up and built up and built up. And because I wasn't taking care of myself, my mental health just dropped drastically. And that's when I started having, the thoughts of suicide and this and that. And to tell this story, like when I was sitting at home, trying to deal with this and process it, and I was just like, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. Like this is brutal. I can't do it. And I didn't want to be at home. And I went for a drive. I was like, I got to go figure something out, man. And I was cruising around. I didn't have a plan set or anything like that, but it was just there. And then I was driving and this vehicle drove past me and there was a dog hanging out the window. And I looked at it and it just instantly hit with my dog. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I need help. And that is really what switched it. And as soon as that happened, I drove straight to a clinic and I went in and I talked to a doctor. I'm like, look, this is what's going on. I need help. Mm-hmm. And they were just like, yep, and wrote it off. And it really started the process for me in getting in there. And that's how I started getting into, with the psychology, or seeing a psychologist, sorry, and learning about all of this. And it was just like, holy crap.
Yeah. But in the same breath, it probably feels so refreshing to like have that, you know what I mean? Knowing it could have got way worse, and B, that like you're addressing it, and like you know what I mean? Like you're going through that healing process. Like, yeah, it's probably hard. Very
it was
hard.
one of the hardest things I ever had to do, because when you're sitting there talking with someone and it was nice for the fact of having a person there that's just like, you're here to help me and not judge me or do any of that. You're just tell me everything that happened with you, Right. And once I finally did that, and don't get me wrong, it was hard. There were times that I would have to get up and be like, I can't do this right now. Like I would just be vibrating. Right.
Yeah.
And I would like storm out or something, but then I would come back and just keep going, keep pushing forward. Like, you got to work through this. You can't press it down. Like, that was that. And once that started happening, that's when I really started feeling refreshing with it. And I was like, holy crap, I should have been doing this when I was a kid.
And I think the one thing that you say there that's really important is like the consistency. Like, you just got to keep doing it. Like, you know what I mean? Like short-term pain, long-term gain, short-term pain, long-term gain.
Oh, and dude, like looking at myself now, I was just like, yeah, long-term gain has paid off tenfold, man.
Yeah. It's a huge testament to that, of like, you just got to dig in, man. Like, and the times that you think like, there's so many days, man, where you're just like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I can do much more.
Yeah.
Like, this is getting about as much as I can do, man. I'm about one fucking pussy hair away from fucking, driving into a McDonald's,
Yeah.
So it's, but you gotta think like, dude, it's just one more day, man. And like, you're going to be so fucking happy when you look back and you go like, yes, man.
I see it all the time, man. Like, scrolling through my phone, because again, working out, I really started taking progression photos.
Right.
Because at the beginning I was just like, oh man, this is terrible. Like, when you're looking at yourself, and again, having that much self-loathing and hatred towards myself because
why
of
would
it.
You want to put that on the internet as well?
Right.
Yeah.
And recently, I think within the last couple of months, when I posted this big transition photo where I was just like, this is what I look like then, and this is what I look like now. And it brought me to tears, dude. Like, I can honestly sit there and say that I sat on my couch and I was just like, holy crap. Like, that was when it was like, it really hit me that I was like, this is paying off. This is working.
Yeah. And what's really good is like, it's, you see, like, you're taking it very like, it's humble. You know what I mean? Like, it's, everything's like,
you have to be, man.
Right. Like, it seems like it's a very grateful energy. It's not this type of thing where it's like, yeah, fucking rights, I did it. Like, and it is, but like, it should be as well. It should be like, fucking rights, you did. But at the same time, like, it's graceful. You know what I mean? Like, like I said to Sheridan, like I said, I don't think it's what you're doing. It's like the intent, and it's like in what taste. You know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by like sharing a transformation photo? Oh, this is a big milestone for you. You're not doing it out of like attention greediness, or you're not doing it like, right. So it's like, people respond to that. But when people see this type of stuff that's in like bad faith, or like, it's just in bad taste, it's like, it's the same thing you're doing, but it's like, what's the intention behind it? Right. And like, I think, again, even like taking care of yourself, and like sometimes even something as like personal as that, people know like, oh, well, if I go on this journey, like, there might be a way I can monetize it. You know what I mean? Like, some people, like, I've heard of like trainers who will purposely gain like 150 pounds and then lose it to prove, but it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I get the concept, but it's like, isn't that kind of fucked up?
Yeah,
Like,
a little bit. I'd be like, if you want to do that and you
Yeah.
can do it.
it's like,
all
I don't know
right.
how, like, I don't know, man. Like, but I look at something like that where, and I think that's based on like the job experience and this and that, but it's like, I inherently view some people as like, well, first I got to vet to see if you're shady or not.
Mhm.
Like, I can't trust no one. You know what I mean? Like, I can't trust no one. And then once I find out you're like cool and whatever, it's like, all right. But like, I initially think like, oh, they're doing this for like, they must get something. Like nobody's doing this for free.
Oh, okay,
right?
Yeah.
Like there has to be some sort of payoff here. Like, so, and unfortunately in today's day and age, like relationships are a lot transactional. So it's, it's weird. And like then authentic people, you like, you don't give them the benefit of the doubt because you're like, I think you might be shady. Right.
Yeah.
How has how has working in these kind of environments like affected your ability in like social settings, like with strangers?
With strangers, going through that. So starting out younger, working in bars and doing all that, I was that happy-go-lucky life of the party, like just real people pleasing and just a people person, right?
Right.
And then as it got worse and worse, it was just like, I don't want to be around people. I hate this. Like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like it sours you to a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming out of that and going into, everything else, the amount of support that I got from people was phenomenal. And it really smartened me up in my head, because in my head, I was just like, no one cares. No one's going to do this. Like you're being a bitch, like
Mm-hmm.
just like all of that. And when I first did that post and the amount of response that I got from it, it was overwhelming, because I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Right. And it's a thing where it's confirmation that you're doing the right thing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
Like,
it took a minute to get to that, because
Yeah.
it's just like, am I doing this right? Is it this?
well,
Is
do
it
you
not?
think you had some sort of like imposter syndrome where you're like, nah, this isn't me. I'm still like the doughboy.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm still that guy. Like,
Yeah.
no. And is there any fear that, like, is there any things that you have to put in place now to make sure that you don't like backtrack?
Oh, absolutely.
So,
And then again,
sobriety. Being one
sobriety was the biggest one. Well, I shouldn't say sobriety because I still smoke weed, but like, just being alcohol free and having that lifestyle
Mhm.
was huge, and that helped push everything to the front of it, right? And then,
like, just what mechanisms have you like put in place besides sobriety to like ensure that you don't like regress in like your progression? And you don't like gain like 300 pounds, like, or you don't like fall into some like void. Are there anything like you have to, like for me, I have to stay away from VLTs. Like, cause like if I do $10, I'm doing $10 times 20, right? It's like, what's another $10? What's another $10?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I'm feeding into the machine. I'm going to pop. I'm going to get the mega. I'm going to get, you know what I mean? And it's like, once I take that sip, like there's no coming back, right? And then I'm in my bathtub crying because I lost $400 in 3 hours or something, right? So like for me, it's like anytime that I think of it, I go put like a 90-day like time away.
Okay.
So like now I can't even if I want to now, I can't log on. So it's like just the thought of it. It's like if I think this about it again, I'm probably going to do it.
Yeah, I definitely went through a lot of that, and I still do sometimes if I'm out and about and be like, man, a Jack and Coke would taste so good right now.
Of course.
And that's going to be there because that was just always my choice or something else. But now because it'll be 2 years since I stopped drinking in April. And now I thank you. And I don't even think about it. I really don't. It's just, I've gotten to that point now where I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Like it doesn't affect me and it doesn't bother me in that way now.
It's like that consistency kind of built up to now you have like a good foundation. You know what I mean? Like you've kind of like drilled it in enough where it's like day after day, you're kind of working in, and now you just have like a new lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you've just kind of like redefined your lifestyle in a way. Do you do any like meetings?
No, I didn't do any meetings. The closest thing I did was I downloaded an app, and it's like my Sobriety app.
Right.
And it just tracks the days, and it'll be like, oh, what are your goals, or do something like this. And you can journal in it. And
Right.
I started using that, and that really helped a lot to just get it out, you know,
Right.
and just not let it live in your head. And then eventually it got to the point where it was just like, now it's just another day. That's all it is. Like, it's just another day.
Have you, have you been like opening yourself up to kind of, I don't want to say like mentor, or like, have anybody ever came in contact with you about trying to get sober? Or have you ever went through that thing where you're kind of like helping someone else reach sobriety? Or no, you're still
people ask questions and whatnot, but
Right,
I haven't really put it out there. Like, a lot of people know that I don't drink and whatnot. But
Yeah, I mean, for like not you personally, but has anybody like seeked like guidance from you from seeing that you've been sober for 2 years?
I wouldn't really say guidance. The people ask a lot of questions. It's just
Right.
like, what are you doing? And the biggest thing I tell them is like, I stopped drinking.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's the easiest thing that really helped with my weight.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it all just comes hand in hand.
Yeah. And then the more you work out, the more it is. And the more you keep doing it, it just gets better and better, and you feel better. And then you start noticing it, and it just steamrolls into something that it's just like, holy crap. Like, I'm a whole different person now.
Right. And now going into that, like what, like when you look at like MMA and you look at what are your intentions? What do you like now that you've really enjoyed it? Is there a certain like roadmap you have within that of like, you want to compete, you want to train, you want to?
Oh, absolutely. What I'd like to do is try and get an amateur fight at some point, just to go in there and, you know, say I did it.
And what does that look like? Just joining?
No, it's
or-
like, it's a little bit different. Like, because once you join a gym and then you kind of network and get to know who's who, and that's kind of the best way I can describe it right now.
Right. And then they kind of like reach out to their people talk to their people.
Yeah, you gotta put in the work for it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And that's also the thing too. Like, you gotta put in the work, especially when it comes to any type of combat sport. If you think you're gonna go 1 day a week and then go step in the cage and do that, like, it's no. Like, you gotta be disciplined, and you gotta follow everything that you put towards it.
What do you think the hardest like thing you had to overcome, like in terms of going from like, I'd say like a less physical regimen to a more physical regimen? Was it like the cardio? Was it like getting nauseous? Was like, I know for me, when I was like when I was getting into more fitness and like I was running a lot, my biggest thing was like nausea. Like, I couldn't stop getting nauseous. Like,
Really?
Like being sore, fine.
Yeah.
Like eating what I need to eat, fine. Drinking lots of water, fine. Throwing up all the time. Like, no matter what, I could go to the gym and do like bench press. I'm nauseous. Like, I'm always fucking nauseous.
Really?
And so that was like a big hurdle.
Yeah.
That like, it was just one of these nagging things. Like, and some people have like, I know for you, it was like a knee injury. And so like, and we're going to get into that, but like, what was there anything that like really kind of was one of these like snags where you're like, fuck man, I'm getting there, but it's just this one thing, like my cardio or this or that.
Definitely my cardio coming out of it, you know, being that big and rolling around on the floor. Like, you expend a lot of energy when you're ground fighting, right?
Right.
Like, that cardio level is a whole different thing. And that, I would say it was a hindrance at first. Again, I wasn't nauseous all the time, but there'd be that time where it's just like, you know, run
Like
super
high
hard and
intensity.
you're just like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that also would happen too, you know, at work when you're running somewhere and doing that would also happen too.
Yeah.
But once, and again, you know, just fighting through it and just like, okay, got to keep working on it. We're going to move on to the next.
Yeah.
And it just progressively got better and better. And now it's to the point now where I'm like, oh, I'm not really tired. Like, I can keep going, or
Right.
I'll do
You have a
another round.
gas
Like,
tank now.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, thank God that's over.
Oh yeah.
You're
There's
like,
been a few
"Oh,
times where it's
thank
just like,
God.
thank God that bell saved me.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so like, I kind of want to like get into like the mental health side of it too, where like mental health advocacy and like, you know, being someone that like, what would you say in terms of like, there's always these like cliches where people say like, I'm a PTSD survivor, or like, what would you say, like, how would you identify that as, of like someone who like, you know, was injured by like severe mental health and like recovered? Like, how would you like identify that?
For like myself, or
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself an advocate, but I would say I'm more open about it now. And especially doing stuff like this is what helps with a lot of it, because there isn't that much of a stigma these days about it, but there still kind of is. And I know, at least for myself, that was a huge thing for me, especially being younger and thinking like, oh, I'm tough. I can do this. I can get over it. Like, I don't need therapy. Like, what the hell's wrong with you, kind of thing. And coming through that, and now I'm just like, man, like, this is, I wish there was more stuff out there and people would come forward more with it, because it lets you know that, like, hey, you're not the only one. Like, if you're going through this, or if there's something that I say that resonates with someone, hey man, like, reach out. Like, if you have any questions, I'll gladly help you. Like, it
is interesting how many people like think they're on an island, right? Like, they think they're on an island. This is the only person that's like, but it's such a paradox, because like, okay, if I like, how do I like put this into a thought? Like, if you're trying to achieve something that is like beyond mediocre, a lot of times people go like, oh, like, are you sure? Are you this? Are you that? And you're like, oh, like, if I'm thinking what you're thinking, like, we just need to think the same, right? Like we're all going through it, right? But it's like, no, sometimes we aren't, though. Like, in some degrees, like, there's varying degrees of like anxiety or like severe stress, where like sometimes it's like impacted and some people like put it on themselves. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, you could have been working a job as a necessity, whereas like other people, they like created a business and they are like taking on all this unnecessary stress, or they're in like relationships that have like clear exit routes, where at some point it's like, okay, yes, we are going through the same thing, but like, this was impacted and yours, you kind of like laid in it. Does that make sense?
A little bit, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what I have kind of a hard time. Like, when people say like not, and I might just be like biting on the word, but like and I only say this because I just had this interview with Sheridan and he kind of said the same thing. Like, you're not alone. And that's right. You're definitely not alone. It's the notion of like, who is coming to it with like, how do I say this without sounding like super crass? Where it's like, some people play the victim, but it's like, dude, you literally lit yourself on fire. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where it's like, that person still deserves help, but you also have to educate the person of like, well, we can't do that again. Right? Like, we can't be this dumb. Yeah. Right? Like, and again, I guess you can say it across like all spectrum, though, like, people make decisions and this and that, but like, sometimes like the way you treat yourself, or like this, or like little tweaks go like a long way of like, dude, you wouldn't have this much stress if you would stop saying yes to people. So you need to stop saying yes to people before we address how stressed you are. Cause like, the stress wouldn't have mattered if we shut that off, if that makes sense. Like, I need to address the personal implication more than I need to address the fact that you're stressed.
Yeah. Because
we would absolve all of the stress if you stop fucking agreeing to do shit that you're too overwhelmed for. Right? So like, I think that's a fair balance of, you know, like, but then there's some people of like, there was no way for this person to get out of it.
Yeah.
Right. And like, this was unfortunately like, you have to deal with it with a little bit softer tone, and you have to like come across and like be more forgiving, or be more like willing to like apathy, I think. Yeah. Like, you have to be more willing to like be like, yeah, this is really, really shitty.
Well, at the end of the day, you have to want to help yourself, right? You have to be able to make that decision because no one's going to do it for you. Someone can sit there and tell you like, yeah, you need therapy. You need to do this. You might as well be talking to a wall sometimes, right?
Right.
You have to be able to come to yourself and be like, yo, it's time to change.
Yeah. A lot of friends from work, they're into the EDM scene. When I was in university, I loved it. I listened to like Dubs, like Hardwell, like Armin van Buren, like all of these dudes. Loved them. And then I slowly faded out back into rap. What does like your playlist look like right now?
Oh, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
The only thing I really don't listen to is like anything that's like heavy metal, headbanging, that kind of thing. Like, not my thing.
Right.
But with the rest of it, like, again, you know, coming from a country club background, like I enjoy country music. Also being an Alberta boy, it kind of comes hand in hand. And then, you know, hip hop, top 40, EDM, like a lot of it. So my playlist is just completely crazy back and forth. And
in terms of like actually attending events, do you find yourself going out of the way to like see your favorite artist?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people, like for me, I'm a fan, but I don't know if I'm like a fan. Like I would have to be like, probably I'd say like J. Cole's my favorite right now. And like, if he came, I probably still like, I get the stories on Snapchat and shit. Like I'm good. Like I don't necessarily need to go drop like $500, but some people like the experience is so like valuable to them that I don't know. I just don't, I can never get there. So to touch on that, like I really enjoy it, especially going to bigger events because it's just the vibe in there is something different. Right? Yeah. And it's also different because it's not a bar setting. So you're not having, 90% of your population are going to be, intoxicated or drunk. Whereas, well, you might be high or something, but it's a lot different because there's not that, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but with myself, when I go to like an EDM show, I can walk in there and be comfortable and not have to constantly worry or check my shoulder or do anything like that. Whereas if I'm in like a nightclub, completely different story and setting, right? Yeah. So just having that peace and being at the show and just being able to dance, vibe, and just do all of that is fantastic because it's relaxing and it's calming. And that's what resonates best with me because coming from a very chaotic background, just having that peace is huge. Yeah. I think I'd be more wanting to go to like a Burning Man. That's more my vibe. Doing like a Burning Man, middle of the woods. Like I'm not doing the orgies or not. Like I'm not doing none of that shit.
Hey, no judgment.
No judgment. If you want to do the orgies, by all means. But just the calm. You kind of like vibing out. Everybody got their tents at Tomorrowland. Same type of shtick. Maybe if this goes off the air, like maybe if this goes, makes me a lot of money, I'll go to Tomorrowland, but definitely outside of my budget now.
Oh, that's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Even with that, last October, I went to Scream for the first time, which is a big event here in Edmonton. And it was so much fun because everyone's dressed up, everyone's dancing, you're having a good time. The show was phenomenal. Like I got to see Timmy Trumpet front row, center stage. Crazy. Like it was such a cool experience to have.
Yeah. And a lot of the DJs you find they've put their own thing to it. Like, especially the big names like Steve Aoki throwing cakes, like these and that have like the, you know what I mean? Like everybody has their own little thing that they do. I love it. I love going to those events. Now for like the mainstream artist, not so much. Cause I just go like, I'm going to pay out my ass. I'll be able to get 2 beers for $65 and a hot dog for $14 or some shit. So, but with some of these festivals, like you bring your own things, you can, you know what I mean? Everything's a little bit more like friendly to the average day person.
Yeah.
Which is the nicest thing.
Well, that's the great thing about it, especially being able to go out and, have fun at these events. I'm not spending money on alcohol or anything like that. 9 times out of 10, I'm drinking water and Red Bull.
Yeah.
So I'll go out and I'll spend $40 in a night. And it's just like, man, this would have cost me $300 when I was drinking.
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge payoff.
Yeah.
When I used to smoke, and when I stopped smoking, that was like the first thing I noticed was like, man, I'm spending a whole lot less on fucking cigars and cigarettes and this and that. So,
well, it's expensive nowadays too, man. When you're paying almost, $25 a pack of cigarettes or $40 for a tin of chew, like it's just, you can't afford to have a habit these days.
Honest to God. I also I'm interested because I think like I always am interested when people are recovering from like, addictions or like mental health struggles and stuff like that, of how much of that is like genes, you know what I mean? Like where like I think I have an addictive personality. Like it's like most of the things that I do, it's like all throttle or no throttle. Like there's no happy medium. Like do you like where do you sit with that? Like do you find you tend to like obsess over like things when you get into them, or how does that look for you?
I would say a little bit, especially when I'm first going, because it's just like
so
go, no rest. Like it's all this. And then I had to learn like, hey, you're not young anymore, especially when you're doing combat sports. You need to like rest, recover, ice, stretch, do all this kind of stuff. Right. So it really helped pull the reins back into that so that I could really like, okay, this is going to be a little bit easier of a transition into.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like the type of resilience that people can have to just like something happens in their life and then it's just like, boom. And then it's like the same time that you had something in your life that you went this way, someone was going this, and something happened in their life where they went like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's crazy to think about. And it's hindsight is 2020 because you're like, oh, if only I knew what I knew now. And like, it's so, and how did this person know that why are they getting, but it's like, sometimes like you gotta like, again, to reference the Sheridan interview again, like there's only so much you can control, right? Yeah. Like, and the more that you can focus on what you're doing and what you control, the more you can like magnify that in. And then you start to tighten that up. Cause it's like, well, now I don't have all these other fucking shit bugging me all the time or doing this. And I'm not hungover. I'm not, so now I can really like tighten it up. My diet's better. I have more energy because I don't weigh as much. Like, so it's one of those things, like everything just leads into the other. And the more you can kind of connect the dots, and then they just zoom out and it's like, oh,
it all makes sense.
Yeah. And you're like, fuck. Like, so yeah, it's really, really, really amazing. Just kind of like wrapping this whole kind of thing up. What are your future goals professionally and personally?
Personally, I'm really enjoying, the fitness aspect of it, being healthy, and just it's really trajected my life to a whole different level where I'm happy, and it's the best feeling in the world to be able to have that.
Yeah. And yeah, that was my looking back. What key lessons have you learned from your experiences?
Oh, the biggest thing is like, I had to learn the hard way, man. Like being super stubborn. It's like, hey, you got to change this. I'll be fine. And then something happens and you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But, just consistency, accepting the change. Yeah. And just being open to that weirdness, because it really is when you go through all of that, and just accepting it and being like, hey, like this is what you're doing. Like, it's fine. Like, just go with it and live your life and be happy.
Crazier the better.
Oh man.
Crazier the better.
With the craziness, dude, like there's some stories from back in the day where I was just like, oh man, like this is a whole different level of crazy. Yeah. And then, growing up and maturing and everything else, it's just like, it was, a fantastic experience to have. And you have that as a story to look back on.
But it's nothing compared to the milestones you're seeing now.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like you look at it and you look at what type of person you were, like, oh, I was so proud of that. And like, that's something I really wore on my fucking chest and blah, blah, blah. Now you look back and you're like, that's peanuts.
Oh yeah. The stuff that I'm doing now.
Yeah. You're like the shit that you're like, I was making ripples. Now I'm making fucking waves. Like shit's real. You know what I mean? So
yeah. It's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Like, and again, what it all boils down to is just being happy. And it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going
dude.
from such a negative way of thinking from way back when, like you kick yourself, being like, yo, why the hell didn't you just fucking do it, man?
Yeah.
Like,
It is.
but now that you did, it's just like, okay, like, don't want to go back to that now.
Yeah.
And it's been a wild ride, man. Like, even touching back on with, the PTSD and the mental health and all of it. When I first walked in and I had to do the, what is it, like that occupational
health and safety?
No, not that. Occupational therapy or occupational therapist is what I had to do.
Oh,
right?
yes.
So it's like that exposure therapy where you got to go out and do all of this. And it touches on nerves and it drives your anxiety and all these things up so much to go through it, man. And this is what my occupational therapist had sent me. And it was a recap of everything that I went through with the program. So the Beck Anxiety Inventory, or the BAI. So on May 2022, my score was an 8, which was considered mild. And then when you look at the initial OT assessment in December 2021, my score was a 17, which was a moderate. And then when you go to the Beck Depression Inventory, May 2022, my score was a 6, which is a minimal. The initial OT assessment in December 2021 was 22, which is a moderate. And then when you look at it's called a PSSI-5, which is a trauma assessment. So May 2022, my score was a 12, which is a mild. My initial assessment in December 2021, my score was a 33, which was considered severe.
Right.
Which just kind of gives you a general idea of like how fucked up I really was in my head.
How far
man.
You were going.
Oh, it was so bad. Like the one story that I do tell people when you start kind of realizing that like I need some help. I was literally grocery shopping at Superstore, and I was standing in like a cereal aisle reading a box of cereal, and I had a full cart of groceries, and their paging system went off in the intercom, and it sounds exactly like the one at work. And at that time, being, doing everything that I was doing, it went off, and I just like dropped what I had and turned, and there was an elderly lady like standing right beside me who I didn't even, see at the time. And she looked at me and was just absolutely terrifying because like, I know what I look like,
Yeah.
If you're not knowing who I am and what I'm about, it can be a little.
You're like, I'm about to get jumped.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I kind of came to and I was like, what am I doing? And I left my cart. I just left the store. I went home. It's like, I can't be here, man. Like this isn't good. And going from that and doing the therapy, and it was just a whole different level, man.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming on, dude. Jeremy, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy McPherson. Jeremy, amazing time. I'm happy to have this conversation with you. I feel like I've learned so much about you and your advice, your wisdom, what you were able to share with the audience. And I'm sure everybody watching this video is going to be wishing you the best on your journey and just growth and healing and all that type of stuff, fitness. And we'll definitely be catching up with you to get you back on the show.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. Like, it's really awesome, coming in here and seeing the setup that you have and watching, because again, I see all the stuff that you posted when I did have social media and seeing it was really cool. So to be a part of this is really fun. And I love supporting guys from work with their businesses and whatnot. And if my story helps someone, or if it, if anyone has anything, man, like just be open about it. That's the biggest thing I can always say to people. Just own your shit and be open with it.
And now what I get to do, which I'm so happy to, is like, now that I'm like just hitting people up from everywhere, it's like, well, now there's the opportunity where I should be like, hey, you should really talk to this person, or you should really get in contact. I think you guys can do some cool shit together. Like, I talked to this person, I talked to that. Maybe you guys should link up. Like, I think you guys have like, you know what I mean? Like similar interests or talents, or maybe you guys have creative interests, right? Like, so that it's very humbling experience for me as well to like see that and be like, oh man, that's really nice. Like, oh, I love to be able to see that and be like, it's not about me, right? Like, it's not about me. I want to actually like get people's stories out there and like kind of like shed a light on that. And as well, it's like, I'm just trying to meet cool people, have cool conversations. And like, I would bring anybody on here, right? Anybody. And that's not to like minimize anything. Like, I genuinely think there's a conversation to be had with anybody.
Oh, absolutely.
If that makes sense, right?
There's so many different crazy people. Well, I shouldn't say crazy, but so many different wide range of people around here. And with the network, and especially with our job, because it's such a melting pot of everything, you got so many people from so many different walks of life. Yeah. So to hear these different stories from different sides of it, it's really neat and it's cool. So it's awesome what you're doing, man. Yeah. Keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And we will both keep grinding. This has been episode 21 Solo Spotlight. Jeremy McPherson. Thank you.